I've done a bit of smuggling. I've run my share of grass. I've made enough money to buy Miami, but I pissed it away so fast. Welcome to Shift+F1, a podcast about speed race cars. That, of course, is some Jimmy Buffett for everyone in honor of our return to the Miami International Autodrome. I'm Drew Scanlon. Joining me, Danny O'Dwyer. How are you, Danny?
Good. I always feel like Buffett is like a bit of a cultural black spot for me. I'm never. I always know it's Buffett when you start because of the. I don't know. It's become our own tradition. We're creating traditions. That's how long we've had the Miami Grand Prix. Is that we're now creating traditions.
That's right. Genre-defining. Speaking of genre-defining artists, Rob Zachney. How are you, Rob?
I'm doing great. I'm going to make my traditional joke that everybody has a cousin in Miami. Also shouting out Jimmy Buffett.
Is he the Margaritaville guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Is that also what Americans know him mostly for?
I can't believe Danny's just like turning his citizenship in just right now.
This wasn't on the test.
The ICE better not be listening. They're already, I'm on the list eventually.
Yeah,
Please.
Margaritaville, Cheeseburger in Paradise, I think is another big one.
That's a song?
Oh, yeah.
Or it's a chain of restaurants? I
Is it
can't
a
tell.
song?
Both
Is this guy a restaurateur?
a song and a chain of restaurants.
The
I think-
cheeseburger?
No, I think Margaritaville.
Margaritaville serves
had-
the cheeseburger and Paradise Burger.
Yes.
Oh,
that's right.
okay. See, that's the thing. I think I vibe with the Margaritaville thing. I think like maybe I'm a little bit too young for it. Maybe when I'm retiring, that's kind of I'll just go on a. They have a Margaritaville cruise and everything, right? It's just
I'm sure.
it's kind of like Rainforest Cafe for people who want to get drunk more. I think or
Yeah.
swing maybe.
If you're new to this podcast, a very warm welcome to you. And if you are new to Formula One itself, we recommend listening to our preseason primer episode, which assumes no prior F1 knowledge, fewer Jimmy Buffett references. But it does explain how the sport works and who everybody is. So if you'd like to go back and listen to that, it's episode 298. Also, this show would not be possible without our audience over at patreon.com/shiftf1, where every month we release ad-free versions of the podcast early for those who subscribe to the Patreon, along with bonus podcasts and videos that are exclusively for our patrons that cover racing documentaries and films, F1 video games, experiments with other racing series, and a lot of weird things. So if you would like to support the show and get access to all that fun stuff, head over to patreon.com/shiftf1 or click the link in the show notes. What's going on this month, Danny?
Well, what's going on in my personal life is I just had to Google Phoebe Buffay to make sure that I wasn't like missing out on a joke for like 20 something years. But she does spell her name like Buffay, so I'm okay. I'm clear.
All right.
Whew.
Not really.
In the world of Patreon exclusive podcasts, we just put up our Drive to Survive Season 7 Part 2 review. So we have that covered episodes 6 through 10. So both of those are now available on the Patreon. You can listen to us chat about Drive to Survive Season 7, which was very interesting. Maybe a tale of two halves as well. We had a lot to talk about. In fact, the second episode was really good of our podcast because we sort of largely, I don't know, we had more to talk about outside of the play-by-play, I think, just because we had sort of grander feelings about the show, as it were. We're also going to do another patron vote this month, so if you want to get in on that, make sure you sign up. We're going to go for car chase movies from Drew's massive content idea bucket document. You pull together a bunch of different sort of categories that we get the patrons to vote on.
Yeah, I mean, we take suggestions on Discord and through Patreon. So I've kind of gone through, and there are so many car chase movies, but
Yes.
I feel like there's a few that are constantly held up as like the core of this, or the defining feature of this movie is the car chase. So this maybe the top 4, I guess.
Yeah, we got Bullet here, of course. So 2 of us are San Francisco locals. Drew, is in San Francisco.
It's true.
I'm going to dox you. The French Connection, The Rock, and Ronin.
2 San Francisco.
You're right.
That's right.
Movies.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Not many people live in Alcatraz these days. So. A massive thanks to all of our incredible title sponsors who support us so that we read out their beautiful names, including Matt and Harmony, Deange, It's a Me Ferrario, Get Rich or Die Ryan, Agave ATX, Cyphus Training, Turf SCX, at Team Blackjack, Michael Maves Loves Beer, Tolerates, Cigarettes, Olivia Evans, telemetrydeck.com, FTC, Drew Stewart, Bailey Foote, Jason Chadwick, Abraham Getchell, Bunny Fiend for FIA president, Snigs, Alex Goucher. Honestly, Bunny Fiend, I'll take it. I'll take it right now over MBS. Alex Goucher, Max Voltar, Jeff Foster, Troy Stammer, William Rumpf, Lachlan the Maddened Man, Samurai Love Story, and Jason Kelly. Thank you all so much for slapping your beautiful names all over the good livery Shift+F1. Glad to have you here. What are we doing this episode, guys? It's a bit of a slow week.
It certainly news-wise, yes. And Rob, did you have something that you wanted to read before?
He's got a statement. Oh no, is Rob cancelled? What did you do?
No.
What'd you do?
You said there we have an email to read before we dig into.
No. This is for the email section.
Oh, okay.
I was telling you needed to read this, or there's a good visual aid with this email that is worth contemplating.
Ooh.
Okay, a tease.
But it's in the doc now.
Okay.
I like it.
A tease
I'm
for
teased.
later.
I feel titillated.
Stay through the ads to see what you're missing. Okay. All right. Well, then let's just jump right into the news here. I guess leading with there's another visual aid here.
Yes.
The Madring, Danny.
The Madring. Get
It's
used
real.
to it. The Madring. Madrid ring. Madring is what we're calling it. Madrid's new racetrack. Get used to it. We're going to be racing there for 10 years, a decade from next year. Unless it ends up sucking. I don't know. A lot of this just reminds me of Valencia. You know what I mean? Like Valencia hasn't been in the circuit. I don't think it's been in since we started this podcast. I don't think. But to me, it's like it's an iconic F1 track. You know what I mean? Like it was really there for sort of a large part of my life for sure. And it was a street track, and it was in a Spanish city, and yada yada yada, and it went over a weird bridge. Might be the only F1 track that went over a bridge. I'm trying to think what other Formula E ones used to, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, you can get. I mean, Suzuka has the overpass.
The overpass, not a bridge though. Ain't no.
What is a bridge, really?
It's a. Well, okay. What is
Hideo
a bridge?
Kojima, deep thoughts.
Yes, exactly. Yes, very much so. Bridges. Yes. So they've released the. I guess they sort of the circuit map was out, I think, for a while, but they've sort of detailed exactly what each turn is, its name, its banking in one particular instance as well. So it's a 22 turn clockwise track. It's pretty long. It's 5.4 kilometers, 3.35 miles. So there's 57 laps around this one. And it's a very interesting look. They do. There's a link. We'll stick it in the show notes from Autosport where they have a sort of turn by turn breakdown and also have a render of a lap around the track, which is hilarious because whoever recorded it, this looks like the official Madring. A hot lap. They almost bin it on turn 6. They ride the curb. Maybe a taste of things to come. They ride the curve on the second of two chicanes within the first 6 turns. So it's an interesting format. And almost bin it in the wall and significantly have to overcorrect so they don't crash. And slows the car down a lot as well. So it's quite funny. So it's got sort of, I would say, 2 main straights, the start-finish straight, and then there's a chicane. A turn, I'll be honest, not unlike the start turn in Saudi Arabia. So look forward to people cutting that corner and creating lots of problems.
Great.
And then the sort of turn 3 goes into a straight, which curves at the end and ends in another left-right chicane. And then we're into a weird sort of high speeder. It's a strange format. There's a couple of 90-degree turns, a couple of fast turns, but turn 12 at the back of it is a 25% gradient banking called La Monumentale, which they say is inspired by Zandvoort mostly, but also the banking on the stadium of a bullfighting ring. So
okay.
Got really. So,
But this one surprised me when it came up in the video. I watched the video first without really looking at the track map, and it is certainly longer than Zandvoort.
It is. It's a legit banking.
It's
it has
big.
It's big, and it has like a sort of a runoff at the bottom of it, which Zandvoort I don't think does. So it's a interesting. Who knows? You can never tell. You know, I care. I hope it's wide. It looks wide enough in the videos. It doesn't look crazy tight like Monaco. It looks more like a modern street circuit like Jeddah or something, where it's it's a little bit.
It's certainly
more
weird, and that's what I.
It is.
That's what I like. It's not like a Formula E track. It's just a bunch of 90-degree turns.
Exactly.
Although that's what we thought about Baku, and it worked out all right.
That's true.
So
yeah, you're right. Baku is a 90-degree bonanza.
Yeah.
But gave us loads of really cool stuff. So yeah,
It's a castle,
all right.
though.
Yeah, it's true.
It does have a castle. I'm sure that. Oh no, this doesn't have a castle probably because it's like outside of Madrid. But whatever.
One of the chicanes is part of a roundabout. That's funny. Or two of them are.
Very European.
That's funny.
Yeah, it goes through another roundabout. Yeah, so it's like partly on streets. It's kind of it bisects a main road. It's kind of like the. Do you ever see that road in Gibraltar that goes through the airport? It goes through the main runway,
yeah.
so they have like a train track style barrier that goes down in the middle of the like main runway of Gibraltar Airport.
Wow.
So and then
Plane
they lift
crossing.
it. A plane crossing, basically. Yeah. But yeah, Gibraltar Grand Prix coming in the future. But for now, the Madrid Grand Prix, the Madring coming next year. We'll get used to it, I guess, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, like them or not, Rob, V10s, what's up with them?
Not much. They're done.
Okay.
Oh.
At last, our long international nightmare of F1 debating whether V10s are going to be brought back is, for now, defeated. The F1 Commission has clarified that V10s are not coming back. They are going to be sticking with the new power unit regulations that are coming in next year. To allay some of the fears, because there's kind of two components of this. One part of it has been that, as we've discussed, advocating for V10s is kind of this populist, I'm a real F1 fan type gesture from a certain type, and that is what Mohammed Ben Sulayem has embraced is sort of his leadership of the FIA has kind of entered a spiral. And there's a lot of people who for years have been bring back the V10s. It's sort of the icon. I mean, I'm nostalgic for it too. It is, to me, in my head still, F1 cars still sound that way. When I think about that, the swarm of angry Vs, the high revving V10s could sound like. But it's been a long time, and the tech has moved on. There's a lot of rose tinted nostalgia with the V10s, but it's always been a thing where you'd be like, it's not like it was in the old days. We should go back. And what's been unusual here is now you have an FIA president being like, yeah, we should go back, and I'm going to make it happen. The other component of this is that with new regulations coming in, there's a lot of anxiety among the teams, the manufacturers, that what if you build a new engine and you suck at it? What if the new engine sucks? And a lot of that fear has to do with the fact that when the power unit regs that we're currently on, when those came into effect, that was basically, you can't put down every championship Mercedes won to the engines, but you could probably put 3 or 4 of them down to the advantage that Mercedes had with just sort of nailing the formula out of the gate. And there's a lot of anxiety that will happen again. You could argue that this is why Renault had to stop building engines, is because they just couldn't they couldn't figure out the new formula. They couldn't close the gap even when regulations were kind of set up to allow them to achieve equal performance. And so the hedge against that is, well, we could just go back to building V10s and old technology, less complicated than hybrids, something we all understand, and maybe it could sync up with what a lot of the auto industry is hoping will happen, which is sustainable fuels. What if we don't have to go? What if we don't have to electrify because this sort of blessed ether could be placed in these cars, and they could just run, and it'd be good for the Earth, for you. They just have like air lines running from the exhaust over a diffuser, to be clear, for aerodynamic efficiency, but then also like it would like run into the driver's mouth so they could huff it and receive its blessings. So there's a lot of hope for that to come into play as well, because then it is a way for us for gearheads to sort of have all their treats, right? Like I'm saving the Earth, and I have a V8 monster in my garage. To deal though with some of the anxieties around what the technical challenges are for some of these engine manufacturers, they've opened up the door a little bit to tweaking those engine regulations that are about to come into focus. So one of the things that they are doing, it kind of sounds like they are, I don't know if nerfing is the right way to put it. There's a good paragraph from Autosport here explaining what some of the issues are. Currently, electric energy is set to make up 50% of a car's total power, 350 kilowatts. But bringing this down to 200 kilowatts has been proposed too, which would allow cars to enjoy consistent electric output throughout the lap, either on power-sensitive tracks like Jeddah, Monza, Baku, and Las Vegas only, or on all circuits.
Oh, right, because the one of the fears was that, like, well, on this long circuit, if you're deploying, in China or something on a long straight, if you're deploying the energy at 300 watts or whatever, you're going to burn through all of your reserves before you hit the end of the straight, and so you're just going to be, I think they call it clipping, if I have my terminology correct. But then, then your engine is going to have to work to recharge your battery again before you even hit the end of the straight. So if you're deploying less energy, then your battery lasts longer. Do I have that right?
Yeah, that appears to be the big issue. Like, especially because there's been you're having more of these like fast circuits like cropping up, where you're just having these like long deployment areas, and bigger battery means more weight. So like that's an issue as well. So yes, there's a discussion that's going to be happening later this week as to whether you sort of tone down how much the cars are able to deploy, and that way it's a little bit easier to sort of have an engine formula that can handle tracks like this. My suspicion is I don't know that this is currently that big of an issue. I do wonder if this is a bit of nervousness about, like, again, getting the new regulations wrong, and being in a place where like some cars have just like got their efficiency dialed in and are sort of zooming down these long straights, and some engine manufacturers kind of botch the assignment and can't do it. There's some divisions among the manufacturers whether they want to do this. So that's tied up in a lot of the politics among like the confidence level of various manufacturers about their ability to build cars to hit that 350 kilowatt spec.
All right. Well, one manufacturer who has taken it upon themselves to start from scratch is Cadillac, who's coming in 2026. They will not be using their own engine because they haven't built it yet, but they will be building their own engine. And now we have a confirmation of when those engines will come into the sport. It's 2029. They will be using Ferrari engines until then, but GM has been approved by the FIA to build their own power units, and those will be done in 2029. So yeah, it takes a long time to spin up an F1 engine.
Manufacturing coming back to America. Thank you, President Trump.
Unfortunately, all of the
changing economic headwinds,
all of the very talented engineers, though, are sadly going to be not at the company. So we're going to have to retrain a lot of Americans for all those H-1Bs, you know.
That's right. All right. Well, that is it for news. We're going to take a quick break here, and then we will be back with the track walk and your emails. All right, Danny. Take us to Miami.
Welcome to Miami, like that Will Smith song. Remember Will Smith? He was a famous actor before he had an aggressive onstage moment. Now we don't speak about him, but we do speak about the Miami Grand Prix, which happens in everyone's favorite part of Miami, the car park of the Hard Rock Stadium.
Yeah.
And Miami Gardens, home to many a drunk Miami Dolphins fan on just over half dozen Sundays in between October and probably usually December. Although it's hosted 6 Super Bowls, I believe.
Oh.
The Miami Dolphins stadium. Good shout out to Dan Marino, Finkel's Laces Out, Finkel, Einhorn. God, that's a movie we don't talk about either.
True.
Maybe for good reason. We're back, Miami. 36 variations of this car park track were tested digitally before they decided to land on this one. It's a very strange looking circuit, and we were full of, incredulity, despair, definitely disbelief that this would prove to have good races. But it has somehow usurped those expectations. 57 laps around this track. 19 corners, clockwise, 3 DRS zones in it, including one particularly long one and one with a curve at the end of it, or kind of in the middle of it. 5.4 kilometers, 3.36 miles. And yeah, and I don't know what else to say about it. It's relatively flat. They put in some sort of artificial topographical change here, but it's a largely flat car park circuit, and for some reason it has given us interesting races. Lando Norris won his first F1 Grand Prix here last year. First of his 5, I want to say. He's not won that many. Oscar Piastri's catching up on him, actually. How many does Oscar have? 2? 3?
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. And what I'm really interested in is Drew's form book on this one, because I think every year we go into this thinking, Miami, and then it provides us with a better race than we were expecting, perhaps.
Yeah, I've got my track reviews here.
Okay.
And since 2022, we've gotten a 2 out of 4, a 2 out of 4, and then a 3 out of 4.
Okay.
So strategy race, strategy race.
Bias, Danny.
What'd you say?
So what you were describing there is just recency bias.
I guess it was just last year. Yeah, or maybe I was expecting 1s.
Yeah.
And we got 2s. There was definitely an expectation management issue going on.
Yeah.
They like to hype it up a lot. I think we had a lot of fun the first year with the fake marina.
Oh yeah.
You might remember the boats.
The WWE driver intros.
Oh God.
They call him the Hulk because you wouldn't want to see him angry.
He'll tell you you'll have to suck his balls, or well, I guess that was towards him. He'll suck your balls. Who was it who did those intros?
Kevin Magnuson told Nika. Oh, but
no.
Was it shit?
In my head, it's like
It
Kevin
wasn't
Hart
Will
or
I Am,
something.
was it?
Oh, Will I Am. Was it Will I Am? It might have been Will I Am. Jesus Christ. It's very Florida. They should have who did that Miami's my wife always sings that Miami Dolphins Super Bowl song. Who did that? There was a rapper who did that Miami Dolphins song. Wow. I'll look that up.
Know.
It's Miami Dolphins #1.
So I think as far as like interesting stuff that happens in this track, I feel like it's one of those tracks that has just like one complex set up to generate some interesting stuff where like you have that run, that long straight in sector 3 leading to the sharp corner, and there's a little like quick fast left right thing heading back onto the short main straight, and that for some reason like combos like that generate a lot of like overtaking drama, because like long straight allows DRS to like catch you up, and then you have like the phase 2 of it that you can have the race down to like turn 1. I feel like it generates a decent amount of action there, though I think that is entirely about it's a track layout that is designed to make DRS actually do something and create interesting interactions. That's also, I think, basically the only place on the lap that like interesting stuff happens for the most part. If I'm thinking about it, like, I guess that's maybe a little wrong. Where they in Sector 2, that sort of tight little roundabout thing. There's a lot of curbs. Like there's a lot of things that can catch you out. But I don't know that I think of the rest of the track as like having a lot of dynamic moments.
Yeah, we'll see. As we have for the past few years. I apologies for not having the other form book stats that we've come to expect. I am on a different machine, and all that good data is on my other computer.
It's on my work laptop.
Let's see. Weather-wise,
I'm gonna bet sunny.
Yeah, well, we got some. Let's see. So this is a sprint weekend. So we've got the sprint and qualifying on Saturday, and we're looking at low 80s. So 84, peaking at 84 Fahrenheit or 29 Celsius. Precipitation looks to be about, let's see, low at sprint time, but climbing to 15% for qualifying time. And then, let's see, on race day, same temps, but precipitation is when is local. Okay, race is local at 4 p.m. Ooh, 50% chance of rain. I mean, It rains a lot in the afternoon in Florida.
Exciting.
Low wind for race day. A little higher during qualifying, 9 miles an hour or 14 kilometers an hour. So, all right. Well, that is the Miami Track Walk. Should we take it to the driver standings? Let's do this. Oscar Piastri is in the lead of the Formula One World Championship with 99 points. Lando Norris, his teammate, in second with 89. Max Verstappen is just 2 points behind in third with 87. George Russell's got 73. Charles Leclerc has 47. That's kind of a big gap. Impressive that Russell is so close to Verstappen. Mr. Consistency, this season at least. Kimi Antonelli is in sixth with 38. Lewis Hamilton in seventh with 31. That is 16 points back from his teammate. Alex Albon's in eighth in his Williams with 20 points. Esteban Ocon in ninth with 14. And Lance Stroll in 10th with 10. Gasly and Hülkenberg are tied, with Behrman with 6 points. Isaac Hadjar is in 14th, tied with Sainz and Tsunoda with 5 points. And then the 4 zeros of Fernando Alonso, Liam Lawson, Jack Doohan, and Gabriel Bortoleto bringing up the rear. Team-wise, McLaren is in front with 188 points. Mercedes is in second with 111. Red Bull is in third with 89. Ferrari's in fourth with 78. Williams is in fifth with 25. And Gene Haas and team have 20 points in sixth place. Aston Martin's in seventh with 10. Racing Bulls has 8 in eighth place. And Alpine and Sauber are tied with 6. And those are your standings. You can also join the leaderboards yourself using the link in the show notes to join our official Shift+F1 Fantasy League. You can also hit us up on the emails, shiftf1podcast@gmail.com or fn.cool/emails. Rob, should we take it to the emails that people have sent in?
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you to lead off with this one from Ian, because there's a novel I have to read.
Okay. All right, great. Danny, this spelling of this name, is this an Irish spelling of Ian?
It looks like I would say that's like a Scottish spelling of Ian.
Okay.
But who knows? They're from Australia. So
okay.
Who knows?
All right. Ian writes, just love the show, even when you're bagging our Danny. I'm assuming he means Ricardo and not O'Dwyer.
Oh, okay. Then fair enough.
Let's see. Nobody seems to talk about the other environmental problem with V10s. Noise. Fans love the noise. Neighbors don't. There are few new street circuits since the end of the 10. Neighborhoods that haven't heard the scream. Will they love it like we do? I live about 10 kilometers, 6 miles, as the crow flies from Albert Park. The hybrids, you hear nothing. The V10s, we can hear them inside the house.
Wow.
They must have been crazy loud in the surrounding suburbs. Cheers, Ian, from going with Canberra.
Canberra.
In Oz.
Down under. Yeah.
Now
It's a fair point.
Now that kind of makes me think they should hear. People need to know. We need to. The V10s. You haven't heard the scream? You got to hear the scream at least once.
It's a good point. There have been a lot of tracks as well, like, you know, added to the calendar or brought back from, you know, from outside of it to that you know, where the V10s never rode around. And it's good. Like, I was on a call with somebody in Melbourne last week, and her apartment is right downtown, and she said, like, oh, during the races, it's like she just moved there, and she was like, oh yeah, during the races it was insane. Like, her apartment faces away from the track, but from the park, but it's like a 2-minute walk away, and she said, like, it was nuts. So yeah, if you had V10s, it would. I mean, but that's what's so cool about them is it's like a jet flying past your head every 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I never heard the V10s, but I guess I heard the V8s, I think, and they were like insanely loud. That was like V8s. No, we didn't have V8. We had V6 turbos, right? This is where
We passed through V8s.
That's
Didn't
what we have
pass through
now.
V8s?
yeah. I'm trying to think. It must have been the V8s. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not exactly clear on the year eras, but I remember seeing a video of it was just like some guy on YouTube. He's like, I just landed in Singapore after like a 16-hour flight and listened to this. And he like opens his hotel room sliding door and it's just the Singapore Grand Prix.
Yeah. So between 2006 and 2013 were the V8s. And yeah,
Got
so they were remarkably louder than the ones we have now. And just different. It's a shrill, it's the high. Like, my brain had like, because I remember when I first turned up, I didn't have any ear muffs or anything. I don't think I ever had actually at any of these races, so my ears are probably fucked. But I remember it was like the high pitch I'd never heard before, and my brain and ears couldn't handle it. So when it got that high, it sounded like, you know, when you blow your speakers out and like they can't deal with it. It's like it's redlining in my brain. Yeah. It was so strange. I was like, whoa, like I've never heard anything do that before. And obviously the 10
20,000 revs out of a you know, V8 V10 is a pretty ridiculous a pretty ridiculous sound. But this is a good point, because I think in that era they raced a lot more on dedicated circuits that were like at racetracks, and there's places where, like, look, if you live in Monaco, this comes with the territory. There's sort of a bit of tradition there. Okay, cool. But yeah, once you started plopping F1 races everywhere, I don't think you can just like. I mean, it probably is a different consideration to just be like, we're just running these V10s through your neighborhood.
Could you imagine like living in Baku on one of those like tight streets? Like, if they were going down there, like, you probably couldn't be in your house.
The echoes, no, it couldn't. And it's funny. It would be inconvenient, but like genuinely, like, it's not good for like little kids to be exposed 100% to noise like that without like serious protection. So like, no, you probably couldn't make this move. It's a really good point. If you make this move, a lot of F1 strategy for like expanding and going to new places suddenly becomes way more problematic.
And I bet you'd have like people saying like, we did not sign up for this. Like, this is a whole other
and I think they'd be right too. I am firmly of the belief that like people who like buy a property near like Laguna Seca, for instance, and then turn around like complain about noise coming out of Laguna Seca, that is like straight to the wall. Yeah. Like, you want a cigarette? Because we're gonna put you down. That is like, I'm firmly of that belief. You can't like, I moved next to Laguna Seca, and do you know how loud these engines are? Get fucked. You don't want the house? Give it to me. I'll be near Laguna Seca, and I'll be like, you know what that is? That's the sound of joy. That's the sound of progress. But I think it's very different if you're like, I just live in a city, and suddenly the race that comes through here once a year is imposing like massive environmental degradation.
Yes. it's creating noise crime on me. It's committing noise crime on my brain. Because it is, I think like that's the thing. Like F1 cars are loud, right? And you go to an F1 race now and it's loud. And especially when you like get that first lap, right? Like it's if you're near a straight, like that is incredibly loud. The amount of loudness that you get from I can't say about V10s, but at least the V8s is a significant step up. That like, because like I want like if you drove like V10s, like imagine like 22 of these things going down in Baku, like I bet the windows would probably break, you know? Like I bet there were considerations in Monaco that they had to have for years. Not that it was the only street circuit, but like I bet because like they never raced in Singapore. They never raced, I'm trying to think what other street circuits they would have. Valencia, I guess, but that was kind of always out and that's not really in the city. That street circus wasn't. That's a fair point. I wonder if it would also, I don't know. I wonder if there's a convenience factor with modern F1 and its more mainstream audience that actually that would freak more people out.
Well, this was Toto Wolff's position, was that we become a family sport.
Yes,
and that is like its identity as a family sport is not. And families love V10s. Like it is very much. It's a place like they do bring their little kids, right? And if suddenly it's a little bit more aggressive and like genuinely kind of painful to be around, you know, you might see those demographics of who's attending races like start to swing back to like, wow, there's a lot more like old dudes who can't hear shit here, and a lot fewer young families. Yeah,
I would bring my child to an F1 race now. Like we go to the Petaluma race grounds but she wears earmuffs, right? Like she has to. I don't, but she does, and maybe I should. I don't know. They're only sprint cars, not going that fast. But like I would, you know, hypothetically I would bring her to a race. I probably won't because it's really expensive, so I won't bring her until she's into it. But I hypothetically would bring her to an F1 event. But I don't think I would if it was the V8s, or certainly not the V10s. It would just be. I'd be worried that if she slipped them off one time by accident and then the cars came past it would like fuck her up. So I don't know.
Maybe it fuck her up in a like awesome way. Like,
maybe that's what gave her the drive.
Just
she's like
psychically branded by the spirit of racing.
Very anime.
And like anime origin story. Basically. Like, no, her earmuffs slipped. And it's like the spirit of racing like reaches out. And now she just has to go fast.
Exactly. It reached out and crushed her earlobes.
Yeah.
Should we take the next one here?
Sure.
Hell yeah. This is... love this.
Okay.
Not signed. I wish it were. Gentlemen, order has been restored.
Uh-oh.
We all have our F1 hyperfixations. Mine, of course, are the circuit map breakdowns that air at the beginning of each race broadcast just after the theme song. These maps have taken such a toll on me that I have attached a comparison chart so you can see how they visually evolved over the past 8 years of F1 broadcasting.
Wow.
Yes, I am unemployed. Post-Liberty acquisition, but pre-pandemic, the maps looked great. They were all done by the same renderer and look cohesive as a set. New data has changed per race, but visually, everything matches the F1 graphics package. I like the dark look and how high contrast the circuit outline is in comparison to its surroundings. Corner highlights also look pretty good. You can see the difference in how they rendered them for a day race versus a night race. Then the shit hit the fan. From 2022 to 2023, it looked like every circuit was suddenly, pearl-clutchingly, responsible for its own map that then got plugged into the F1 intro at the beginning of each race. The quality dropped drastically, and it resulted in the Wild West of circuit map graphics. Melbourne looked like it was done in Microsoft Paint. Did they deforest Albert Park between 2022 and 2023? And Bahrain 2022 looks like it was just superimposed over a Google Earth screenshot. For F1 being a serious sport, allegedly, these graphics are so unserious. those trees and grass patches look so silly in the zoom-in views of the various corners. Are we showing curbs or not? It's chaos. 2024 was a step in the right direction because the circuit boundaries look consistent. They're consistently ugly, but that's besides the point. With the same sector colors and green grass, but how the surrounding buildings, streets, etc. look, we're all still untamable race to race. We lost the corner zoom-ins in 2024, and at this point, I started to lose all hope that we would ever return to the glory days of circuit maps past. So imagine my delight as this 2025 season is kicked off. We are seeing a consistent render. Look at them.
Wow.
Not only did it look great, they're simple and very concise, sleek, high-tech looking, and work well with the rest of the graphics package. But more importantly, they also all look the same. Coloring book green, good riddance. In the pinnacle of motorsport, we now have a set of sexy-looking standards for our circuit map breakdowns at the beginning of each race. What a thrill! And there's a very good comparison chart.
Yes.
They submitted to help us see this. And I had been aware that like the circuit maps had changed, like that they didn't all look the same over the years. I had not fully internalized how the bottom fell out.
Oh God, yeah.
Circuit maps in the era this writer is describing.
Yes, either did I. I feel like maybe the gaps between races was enough of a palate cleanser, or they could get away with it. But I bet if you were watching these races back to back, it would have been like, what is happening? Yeah, we'll stick the link to this in the show notes. The wonderful graphics comparison they've put in here of all the maps. But yeah, some of these
2022 is rough,
horrific. Yeah, 2022 is a real Wild West. I don't know what was happening. I mean, you can't blame COVID at that stage.
It looks like a golf game for the PS2.
Yeah. I love the lack of trees next year as well. And all these like terrible buildings. Like it looks like Microsoft Flight Simulator from the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you don't really need the surrounding build. Like I get it. Like you kind of want to put it you want to contextualize it in the place that it's in, but I kind of don't care. I like the cleaner look where it's just the buildings you see are the circuit buildings, right? Like the pits and the grandstands and stuff. Yeah, I mean you've got enough helicopter shots of the surroundings to contextualize it. So the track map, I think I agree with our emailer here that less is more.
Love it. Fantastic. Sorry we don't have your name.
Great email. Fantastic work. Right again.
Best of luck with your employment.
Yes.
Or not if you're just enjoying, you're just thriving. If you're like, I don't need to
And
work.
if it's producing great work like this, then we're the
keep going.
beneficiaries for sure.
True.
This is why we need universal basic income.
Exactly.
Right? Like there's so many people I think who do have like a really weird fixation in them that will go like interesting places.
Yeah.
And yeah, for some people it'll be serial killing, but for others it could be fun explorations of stuff like this.
Zach writes, hello. This goes back to Suzuka when Doohan had to sit out FP1 despite needing more car time than Gasly. Maybe you already know this, but on the F1 TV broadcast, they talked about it a lot. Apparently, it was supposed to be Gasly sitting out, but he went to the team and said there were fundamental issues with the setup baseline that he needed an FP1 test session to figure out, and Ryo was deemed a better comparison point than Jack.
Oh.
Doohan graciously agreed to sit out the FP1 session instead of Gasly for the good of the team, which sounds an awful lot like Logan giving Alex his car last year. Now, when I go full tinfoil hat on, a Grill the Grid Team Bosses Edition video from the F1 YouTube page, they asked for 3 words that sum up the approach to the season. Ollie Oaks laughed and said, surviving till Spa, and then smiled and said, I'm probably not supposed to say that. What is going to happen at Spa for the summer break when you usually make driver changes that they have to just get through this as a team? Thanks. And that's from Jack in Savage, Minnesota. That's the name of the town, not a description of Minnesota. Savage. This is a confusing email. What am I supposed to be pulling
Surviving
from
till
this?
Spa. Yeah, I'm not sure that means like the drivers. I think he's just saying that's probably when they get their upgrade because it's halfway through the year.
Right.
Well, so I'm sorry, but is this about the doing Death Watch? Is the thing, right? Like, is there something already sort of set in stone that, like, at Spa, that's where they're gonna like sort of snap the real driver lineup into play here?
I wonder. I always thought it was going to be earlier than that. And I don't think Gasly is going to have a say in that either, necessarily. I don't know if that's like a signal to us or anything that Dune is.
I don't know. Anytime the driver on the hot seat, though, is benched for a session, it does feel like, we just, especially the one who needs time in the car. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think the comparison with Williams is an apt one because Alpine is struggling and therefore they kind of need all the data they can get, and the best data is going to come from their most seasoned driver. So I can see it from that perspective as well. I don't think Ollie Oakes is saying I shouldn't have said that for doing reasons. I think he's just saying that that's sort of an admission that their car isn't great.
Yeah, I think so. Because especially with
Spa's a
Spa
long
in
way
the
into the
calendar.
season if you're tanking. Yeah, if you're just like,
Where are they when it comes to the mini DRS stuff? They're not doing any of that, right? That's primarily McLaren
yeah.
and who else? Ferrari?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, and that's coming in Spain, right? So that's going to be sooner. So I don't think it's anything to do with that either. We shall see. The problem with this driver stuff is it's always hindsight 2020, and we're like, oh, of course that was going to happen. I mean, right now, Dune seems very dead to rights and everything. Like, I just think with Alpine's management, they've made up their mind. I think it's going to take a massive shift in form for them to go back on it. And, he's driven all right, but he's also crashed. And I think, I think he's in a difficult spot. I don't think it's fair, but I think he's probably in trouble. All right. If we're hearing it this much, then I think it's something crazy is going to happen for him to keep his seat at this
What
stage.
did Flavio say? I will own every millimeter of you.
Yes, I believe that came up on our patron exclusive podcast.
Creepy.
What else? No more he said. That was what he said. No more which we're still
How
not
much
quite sure what that means.
do you think there's been ahead of Spa? You think that's
Probably-
is that in his contract? We
Far
can
too much.
Fire
Yes.
you if
It's
Gets over this threshold.
0.5.78. No more Flavio demands.
You know, really, in so many ways, Flavio is the dark Omar.
You're right.
Like,
he is.
Portly, gray.
Not portly anymore.
That's true. Maybe that's part of the problem too.
Yeah.
You know,
Ozempic Otmar. He's
yeah.
Oh,
you mean Flavio, right? Like Flavio's like trimmed down quite a bit.
Yeah, no, he has. Yeah.
he's-
That's what I'm saying. He's
Yeah.
something's happened.
No,
That never
Ozempic
stopped him
Omar
before.
could
He
be,
was
yeah.
dating supermodels when he was wearing when he had his sort of cocaine lord era he was in with his open shirt and
I'm sure his position with Benetton did not harm.
Oh, yeah, of
in
course.
the ability to get access to models.
yes, that's fair. Might have been in his contract.
Should I take this next one?
Do it.
Absolutely.
All right. Paul writes, I had a
Paul.
thought which I really hope doesn't come true, but with all the talk of a new challenger coming in to oppose Mohammed Ben Sulayem, what if that challenger is Christian Horner? Given the mass exodus at Red Bull and current performance, although he had support before, I'm not sure it will continue. Then when you see that the only teams who were in favor of bringing back V10s were Ferrari and Red Bull, it does make you wonder how well their powertrain project is going. A V10 would be much easier to switch to even if you've never built an engine before just due to existing knowledge versus developing new knowledge. Also, we all know how he craves power and attention, but it would most likely mean a pay cut for him. No doubt he won't be short of a penny these days, so maybe the draw of the power will be enough. If he was to put his name forward, do you think he'd get the backing? Personally, I think he's dodgy, but doesn't send out a great signal. But would he be an improvement on Ben Sulayem? I don't think there's much between them, and given how close they apparently are, it would basically amount to changing the figurehead but keeping the same ship. Love the show. Keep up the good work, Paul.
I think this is sort of, I think, like an almost like a viewer bias of the sport. Like we only know certain people, so we assume that those are the power players that are going on here. The FIA is very different to like Formula One. I don't think, and also Christian Horner's like personal. I'm sure what he wants is to be in charge of Red Bull Racing, to be in charge of Red Bull. I don't think Red Bull proper, but I'm sure being in control of more so than he currently is of the F1 team and operation and their racing vertical is probably the thing that he wants. I suspect as a lot of these guys age out of their positions they're in now and maybe don't find themselves in the top leadership position of the place they're in, then some of them drift towards these types of positions in Formula One and in FIA. But no, I don't think that he's too young, and it's outside of his core competency. It's not really what he does. So no, I don't think that this is. It's a bit of a jump, I think, logically.
Horner has always struck me as someone who would be a great politician, but he doesn't strike me as a bureaucrat.
Yeah,
which I think is sort of a strange distinction, but that's what I think the FIA does, right? It draws up the rules, it enforces the rules. Christian Horner, just to psychoanalyze, I think wants to be a part of something flashy and wants to build something and not just run for sake of being.
You need to get people under your wing. You need to have people rally behind you. You need to have that type of power, and he doesn't have that type of power. Like he's not a popular figure outside of Red Bull, I don't think.
I think there's philosophically some Venn diagram overlap here between these two guys, but
I tend to agree. I do think there's a degree it makes sense. I could see him being like the next Jean Todt type figure. He's very Mosley-ish in his way as well. I think, but yeah, I think fundamentally is that a big enough role? Is that enough? Is it the right type of power to interest someone like Horner? And I think he could be like very good in a role like that. Like I never question like his like genuine like passion and interest in motorsport just in general. But I think also the political aspects of it would grate on him, being answerable to all these like member clubs around the world, which is kind of how we ended up with Solium.
Right.
Is sort of like them vaulting him into contention. I'm not sure that aspect of it. Like I think if the job were just, hey Christian, do you want to go like shape and direct like F1 administration and officiating for like the last act of your career, I could see him doing that. If that job is attached to and you also have to do the rest of the FIA, I could see him balking at that particular aspect of it and just not wanting to be part of it. I also just don't think it's a weird organization because obviously they picked an absolute clown this time, so maybe it wouldn't even move the needle. Well, I would say the scandal last year would, I think, make it hard for an organization to like elect him as their face at this juncture. But I think FIA might be one of those few organizations that like, there was a lot of smoke, but who gives a shit? The FIA might roll that way and not care. But my instinct is, especially if they do decide to get like Mohammed Ben Sulayem out of there, they're going to want someone maybe a little less explosive than Christian, I think, would have the potential to be.
Yeah.
Jet writes with a very good point. Hey, Shift+F1 guys. I've been watching F1 for nearly a decade now and have yet to see what I would call a great race at Suzuka. Yet for some reason it's frequently cited as an all-time great track that could never be removed from the calendar. After the absolute dud that was Suzuka 2025, I'm now wondering what the deal is with all the love. Is it nostalgia? Is it because it's fun in a video game? or is it simply because people like the country of Japan? Anyway, wondered if you had thoughts.
Do you have the form book for Suzuka?
I have the track reviews. Yeah, I only have the last 3 rated.
I mean, I know it gets a lot of rain, so I think the weekends are usually really good because they.
I have a 2, 2, and a 1.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So
Well,
I
maybe that's
think
recency bias.
Jet is onto something here.
Yeah.
I also have a similar feeling. Like, I love Spa. And I think F1 is like not F1. Spa is not on the circuit on the rotation. Spa has not been good in the modern era, and I think some of what this is flagging is like the things that make for great race courses, iconic race courses. Unfortunately, with the way F1 car design has gone, kind of makes for shitty races on those now. Like when we were talking about earlier Miami,
Right.
the way they've had to construct with DRS and then a corner complex, like here is a place where these cars with like very non-existent capacity to like follow closely for extended periods, we finally constructed a place where they will converge and be brought into contact for like interesting action. Suzuka and Spa, I think, suffer from similar problems, which is they have lots of different types of corners, but they have a lot of more like medium and high-speed corners where aero is going to be paramount and disturbances to the air are going to cause a lot of wash and going to like cause handling to sort of run away from the car, meaning that it's very hard to like make up ground and follow closely at those circuits, which means they become like sort of strung out processions. And I think it's a bit of a. I tend to agree with Jet here, but I think for me it points to sort of a canary in the coal mine situation where if some of the best racing venues, and they truly are, if the best racing venues are no longer able to generate like compelling F1 action, I feel like that is a F1 problem more than a venue problem. Like that is we should maybe be thinking about like how can we address, and we know they do, but they should be thinking harder about like how they address this issue that like a lot of the best circuits in the world now, the formula doesn't generate great racing. And the answer, I don't think it's a satisfying answer to be like, well, yeah, they can't like go through cool classic style circuits anymore, but you know, with point and squirt street maps, you can eventually get an overtake if you create like a series of DRS zones in a row where eventually something can happen.
I think there is a bit of component of nostalgia here because of like the legendary status that it had as a season ender and Ayrton Senna, Prost, that kind of stuff. And I do also think that people love it because of the fans. Like that is something that's constantly talked about from drivers, anyone else in F1, people who've attended. Watching it on TV, you can see that everyone's there to play in the stands, and makes it fun.
Classic race. We can't get rid of it. See also Monaco.
Yeah, right. Yeah. See also our socials. You can click the link in the show notes to see all of those. That is us around the internet. Should we take it around the world, Danny?
Let's race around the world. Yeah.
All right. Well, please hold while I sign in to the Shift+F1 Google account.
Can't wait to know where we're racing. Where could we be? It's impossible to tell. We could be in.
Well, I do that, Danny.
Darlington.
Why don't you read down the Formula One times?
Sure. Formula One. It's a spring weekend. Is it?
It is.
It's a spring weekend. We start Friday, May 2nd. Free practice one's on at 12:30 p.m. That's Eastern times, right? These
It
are all
is.
Eastern times?
Yep.
On ESPNU. Sign up today, students. Sprint qualifying is on at 4:30 p.m. ESPN News. And then Saturday, we've sprint race at noon Eastern on ESPN. Quali then after that for the full race, 4 p.m. And then on Saturday, and then the race 4 p.m. also on ABC. Easy as 1, 2, 3. We're going lights out in Miami, 4 p.m. Eastern. Very watchable for, I would say almost too watchable. This is in the middle of the day. It's going to be like 7 p.m. race here. That's actually pretty good. I'll take that.
Yeah. All right. I have the rest of the racing this weekend.
What's up?
There's a lot of it. We've got the Craftsman trucks. They are at the Texas Motor Speedway for the SpeedyCash.com 250.
Yep. Payday loans. We love them.
World Superbike Championship is in, let's see, where? San Martino? In Italy for the Italy rounds. Formula E is in Monaco for the Monaco E-Prix. The NASCAR Xfinity Series is also at the Texas Motor Speedway for Andy's Frozen Custard 300.
Yeehaw! Get them while they're cold.
Motocross Grand Prix is in Portugal for the MXGP of Portugal. Super GT is in Fuji. The Fuji Speedway for the Fuji rounds. That is in Oyamacho.
Oh,
Suntogun, Shizuoka Ken. That's the prefecture.
Shizuoka.
The IndyCar is in Barber Motorsports Park for the Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix.
Great. Hope those kids know how to race.
And we have NASCAR.
Yeehaw.
Also at the Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it. For the Verth 400 presented by Liqui Moly.
Oh, Liqui Moly. I love my Liqui Moly.
Verth with a W and umlaut.
Doesn't sound very American.
It sure doesn't.
To me, BJ Blazkowicz.
That's what's going on this weekend. Danny, what happened on this day in the past?
On April 30th in the past, the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix was a black weekend for the sport. Not only because of the death of Ayrton Senna, but also because the race meeting also took the light of little remembered, Austrian driver Roland Ratzenberger on this day. The 33-year-old. This was that we finally got it. We finally got the crown jewel of sad days in F1. Ugh. It took us how many years of this book? 2, 3 years. We haven't had a death day in about 6 months, and now we got the worst death day probably of the
it's like an weekend. Earthquake. Like it just keeps like ratcheting up the tension until the big one hits.
This is the big one. The 33-year-old was an F1 rookie with the Simtech team. He was killed when his car went off at high speed at the Villeneuve corner during qualifying. It was the first death in the sport since 1982. Damon Hill recounted later how Ayrton Senna had gone to the scene of the accident. He said he came back very upset and angry and told us Roland was dead. The following month, a journalist criticized FIA President Max Mosley for not attending Senna's funeral, as the rest of the F1 world had. Mosley had not gone to said he'd gone to Ratzenberger's funeral instead. Roland had been forgotten, he said, so I went to his funeral because everyone went to Senna's. I thought it was important that somebody went to his. There you go. I bet he also
thought that's one of the more likable things that Mosley ever did.
I bet he didn't go. I bet he was like in Saint Tropez or something. He was like, I was. Who knows? Who knows? He's dead now. He can't sue me.
Is that how it works?
He's dead. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Allegedly.
Allegedly dead. All right. Well, final thoughts ahead of the Miami Grand Prix. Danny.
Party in the summer. When the evening's on, all night on the beach till the break of dawn. Welcome to Miami. Is that the lyrics?
Sure. Yeah.
Those are my final thoughts. I have nothing to say about Miami. Let's just see what happens. Maybe Piastri wins and he gets even further ahead.
Maybe. Rob, final thoughts.
All heroes to an extent have feet of clay. For me, this is Lewis Hamilton sort of signing a deal with Fanatics. At this point, like so crushingly disappointed, seeing pictures of him with that fucking loser Michael Rubin at this like launch event in London. This is like, it's petty in the scheme of things. F1 deals with way less savory people, companies, countries, etc. But in terms of like people who've just like fucked up beloved pastimes, like Michael Rubin is like one of the like public enemy number one to sign. So this is all like this is part of a like Topps trading card deal that Hamilton is part of, but like Topps is owned by Fanatics. And if you're not familiar with Fanatics, fuck Fanatics and fuck Michael Rubin is a good primer on this. A good primer on this on the Defector.
Oh, okay.
But Fanatics basically has steadily acquired exclusive rights to sell jerseys in every major sport. And that has been associated with jersey quality falling off a fucking cliff. If you have a baseball jersey, a team baseball jersey bought you like 5-10 years ago, don't ever get rid of it, or sell it for hundreds, if not thousands, at some point, because like the new ones are trash. The quality is bad and they're massively expensive, and crucially, they have eliminated the ability to get any better gear. So, disappointing to see Hamilton sort of draping an arm around this company, talking about like the nostalgia of childhood sports enthusiasm. That team's in the business of stamping it out.
All right, well, another podcast stamped out here. If you would like to support the show and get access to all of our bonus episodes, the early ad-free version of the podcast, and the official Shift+F1 Discord, you can do so over at patreon.com/ShiftF1. Have a good race weekend, everyone. We will see you all next week.